The hum of the engines filled the cabin, blending with the faint clink of ice and glasses as flight attendants prepared for takeoff. Marcus Bennett, a tall, sharply dressed black man in his early 40s, settled into seat 3A, his home for the next 2 hours from Atlanta to New York. He had no idea that within minutes, the entire cabin would be watching him, and that by the end of the day, the airline's corporate office would be in full crisis mode. The announcement came not from the flight attendant, but from the pilot himself. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to move seats," Captain Richards said, his voice unusually cold. Marcus looked up, confused. "I'm sorry, what?" The captain stepped closer. "You're in the wrong seat. You'll need to move to the back." Marcus had flown hundreds of times before. He was used to early morning check-ins, TSA lines, and the hum of airports. Today's flight was part business, part personal. He'd been contracted to conduct a high-stakes financial audit for a tech company in Manhattan. The work was confidential, the stakes enormous. He had booked his ticket in advance, business class, non-refundable, premium service. His seat 3A. Boarding had gone smoothly. He even helped an elderly woman lift her carry-on into the overhead bin. But now, as he sat reviewing notes on his laptop, a shadow fell over him. Standing next to the captain was another passenger, white, mid-50s, wearing a tailored navy blazer and a smug half-smile. "This is Mr. Halpern," the captain explained. "He's a priority passenger. We need him in this seat. Please collect your things." Marcus blinked, unsure if this was some kind of mistake. "Captain, I'm in my assigned seat. Look." He held out his boarding pass. 3A, purchased weeks ago. "What's going on here?" The captain glanced at the boarding pass briefly but waved it off. "It's just a seating adjustment. Happens all the time. Now if you'll stand up." Marcus's tone remained calm, but there was steel behind his words. "Happens all the time? To who?" The captain's jaw tightened. "Sir, please don't make this difficult. If you refuse, I'll have to involve security." Around them, passengers were now watching. Some whispered. Others looked away, pretending not to hear. Marcus was not the kind of man who backed down when something smelled wrong. Raised in Chicago, he'd put himself through college while working 2 jobs, eventually becoming a top corporate investigator. His specialty? Exposing fraud and bias in large organizations. And this situation felt familiar. The man they wanted to seat in his place, Mr. Halpern, wasn't just any priority passenger. Marcus recognized him from a past investigation, a real estate developer with deep pockets and deeper connections. "Captain," Marcus said slowly, "are you telling me that my paid seat is being reassigned because Mr. Halpern wants it?" The captain avoided his gaze. "Sir, I have my orders." Marcus leaned back slightly, voice low. "I have mine too." He pulled out his phone, scrolled to a contact, and pressed call. "It's happening," he said into the receiver. "Initiate a full flight audit. Horizon protocol." "Yes." "Flight 482, gate timestamp 8:14. Start recording." The captain's brows furrowed. "What did you just say?" "I'm a contracted investigator for Horizon Compliance Group," Marcus replied evenly. "And you've just triggered a real-time audit. Every decision you make from this moment will be documented for the FAA, DOT, and your corporate office." The cabin went dead silent. Row 4, a woman in her 30s whispered to her seatmate. "Did you hear that? He's an investigator." Row 5, a man discreetly pulled out his phone and began recording. Row 2, an older gentleman shook his head, muttering, "This is wrong. Let the man keep his seat." Marcus turned slightly, speaking loud enough for nearby passengers. "Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing a possible violation of FAA regulations and federal anti-discrimination laws. I encourage you to document this interaction. Transparency protects everyone." Phones emerged like wildfire. Screens lit up. Mr. Halpern's smirk disappeared. The captain's cheeks flushed red. "Sir, you're disrupting the boarding process," Captain Richards snapped. I'm asserting my rights as a paying customer, Marcus replied. And now you're on record refusing to cite an actual airline policy for this reassignment. The captain exhaled sharply, clearly realizing the situation was spiraling. He turned to the flight attendant. We're not holding up this flight any longer. Get him moved. Marcus raised a hand. That would be your second discriminatory order in under 5 minutes, Captain. Please continue. Passengers chuckled nervously. The balance of power had shifted. The flight attendant hesitated. Captain, maybe we should just let him stay. We're already behind schedule. Richards looked at the rows of phones pointed at him. The cabin had become a courtroom, and he was on trial. Finally, without another word, he turned on his heel and disappeared into the cockpit. Mr. Halpern, pale and visibly uncomfortable, muttered something under his breath and moved toward an empty seat further back. Marcus simply reopened his laptop and returned to his work. For the first 20 minutes of the flight, the tension lingered in the air. Passengers kept stealing glances at Marcus, some mouthing, "Thank you," as they passed on the way to the restroom. A young woman in row 6 leaned over during drink service. I've seen this happen before. My dad didn't fight it. I'm glad you did. Marcus nodded, quietly replying, It's not just about me. If no one pushes back, nothing changes. When the plane landed at JFK, Marcus noticed 2 airline executives waiting at the gate. Their eyes scanned the disembarking passengers, until they landed on Captain Richards. One of them, a tall man in a gray suit, stepped forward. Captain Richards, we need to speak with you immediately. Marcus didn't stop walking. He had no need for a scene. His work was already in motion. Within days, Horizon Compliance Group submitted a formal report to the airline's board and the FAA. The report included passenger testimony, flight crew statements, and boarding time logs showing Marcus's rightful claim to seat 3A. The airline issued a public apology, placed Captain Richards on indefinite leave, and announced mandatory anti-bias training for all crew members. Passenger video went viral, amassing millions of views under captions like, "Man refuses to give up seat, exposes airline discrimination in real time." In a brief interview, Marcus kept his words measured. It's not about humiliation or revenge. It's about accountability. Everyone has the right to fair treatment, no matter where they sit, what they look like, or who they are. Sometimes the most powerful act is simply refusing to move. Not out of pride, but out of principle. So next time someone tells you to give up your seat, make sure the reason is just. And if it's not, maybe it's time to call for an audit.